You are listening to MFM 92.6. Move to the music.
It's Loud Luxury with Aftertaste, bringing us to 30 minutes past 12. This is The Lunch Club. My name is Carl Nathan, and of course we will be with you all the way until 3 p.m. It is a Wednesday, and that means from 12:30 all the way until 1 p.m. it's time for SiyakhulaLive with Dr. Katlego having conversations that inform and transform. Katlego, welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, Carl. It was good.
I'm good. How are you doing this afternoon?
Awesome. Loving the weather, the last droplets of good sunshine.
Yes. What can we expect on SiyakhulaLive today?
This afternoon. This afternoon, we do this every Wednesday between 12:30 and 1, having conversations that inform and transform, and transformative conversations on social justice and diversity. And it is proudly powered by the university's Stellenbosch Centre for the Advancement of Social Impact and Transformation, as well as the HR division. Now, it's Freedom Month, 1st of April. So welcome to Freedom Month indeed. It is a time to reflect on these hard-won rights to equality, to dignity, to democracy that continue to shape our society. And so we reflect this afternoon on justice, on responsiveness, and the role of public institutions in realizing the promise of freedom. And what such public institution is the Ombudsman. And we're exploring today how they serve as vehicles for democracy. We're joined by Zetu Makamandela-Mguqulwa this afternoon, who is the Ombudsman for the city of Cape Town. And together with Zethu, we unpack the critical role that this office plays in strengthening accountability, advancing fairness, and deepening democratic practice, both at local and provincial level. And we know that in a context where communities often feel unheard or disconnected from systems of power, how does the Ombud act as a bridge between citizens and the state? And what does it mean to make democracy work in everyday lives, not only in principle? So that is the conversation this afternoon on SiyakhulaLive on lunch. Be part of it as well on WhatsApp 0744400926. Let me welcome our guest this afternoon, Zetu Makamandela-Mguqulwa, the Ombudsman for the City of Cape Town. Zethu, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon and making time. Welcome to SiyakhulaLive.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
It is such a pleasure to have you on the show, and I know it has been a long time coming, and I'm glad we could finally do it. Now, Zethu, I've been engaging with students, I've been engaging with some members of the public as well about this conversation today, and they were like, what is that, right? So for listeners who may not know, what is an ombudsman? What does the Office of the Ombudsman do? What do people come to the Office of the Ombudsman for?
Thank you for the question. Indeed, having done this work for more than 15 years myself, when I tell people, even in spaces where I worked, that I worked as an ombudsman, that alone still, it draws blank stares. People don't understand what it is. Put simply, the ombudsman, it means representative. Like you spoke about a bridge earlier. So the idea is that systems of power sometimes tend to lose the real meaningful connection with the people that they serve. So the ombudsman becomes that bridge. So the go-to person when you don't know where else to go. The go-to person when you feel unseen, when you feel unheard, when you basically say or feel it's actually not fair. So that's the person that you tend to. And so you find
go for it.
You find ombudsman, in different contexts. Yeah. Like I'm the ombudsman for the city of Cape Town. I have an experience of being an ombudsman for a university for about 15 years, which is, the academic space. You find them in spaces like, banks, insurance. In the country, we have our own ombudsman, and South Africa chose to name that office the Office of the Public Protector, which in my view is a smart way to explain it, actually, because we protect the public in the spaces that we find ourselves.
Okay, that is a very useful connection there, right? And I think we know how we make use of the Office of the Public Protector. So they are kind of the protector, the overseer, and accountability perspective. From that accountability perspective, now it is Freedom Month, Zethu. Where does the Ombudsman fit in within South Africa's democratic project?
Thinking about Freedom Month.
Yeah.
So as South Africans, we also think about, the freedoms that are outlined in our beautiful constitution. So as far as ombudsing is concerned, my view is that if Freedom Day gave us the right to vote, the Ombudsman helps to give meaning to that vote. What happens beyond the ballot. And for me, that is where real work begins, because there's a huge responsibility to hold the public office accountable, because if you don't do that, delivery can be can be rendered, but not in a way that is adequate to all citizens, or the promises that come with pre-voting in the sense of democracy are then not realized post-voting. So the Ombudsman then becomes that person who says, you are the public and your role is to speak up when you're not satisfied. So basically we make complaining cool.
Yeah, and it is a difficult thing, because it especially we come in a country where, to be honest, Zethu, it is not easy to speak up. There are people who have paid the ultimate price with their lives for speaking up. So we do not really have a good track record when it comes to being heard, right? And citizens, we learn from others. We see what happens to other people who speak up.
Yes.
And so, that can be, quite discouraging. And we've got people listening today to think, how do I, as a person, in my township, how do I get to speak up about something that is pervasive in my community, without placing myself in the line of fire, and reestablishing that trust with systems of power. What would you say to someone who's thinking through that?
I like the word you used, this whole notion of trust, because in a democracy, trust becomes the currency.
Yeah.
If we don't trust our systems, what is the point? So, talking about speaking up and fear of being judged, fear of being punished, I often say, the challenge is not that communities do not speak, but half the time, systems that they speak to are not always designed to hear them. So which in my view then explains, especially for the city of Cape Town at least, where I am, it explains how the city is actually putting some extraordinary mechanisms to say, we are here, we can listen. Because it doesn't also help to have an office that will receive complaints and then nothing happens with the complaints.
Yes.
So again, what is the point? So as the Ombudsman office for the city of Cape Town, knowing that our coverage is quite broad. The city covers a very huge demographic area in Cape Town. So given that kind of distance, some people struggle to even know that we exist. So we have a responsibility to make sure that through councils, through local municipal offices, we have not only banners, but we do go physically, to actually say, this is who we are, this is what we can do. We can actually help you navigate the system. If you feel you've been treated unfairly, we can have your complaint re-looked into by the city. However, here's the thing. We want, because the city has got its own officials. Of course, it's a huge system. Our role is to make sure that the city does not have, nerves of steel.
Okay.
We make sure that the system is as humane as possible, that the city sees its people, the city can hear its people, the city can use, complaints as a governance tool, because through complaints, that's how you learn.
Exactly.
That's how you learn that this doesn't quite work for this community. Therefore, there's something to address. And it also brings the city to the people. Because think about it, local governance is where real life is, right?
Yeah.
Water, electricity, housing, roads, all the daily life experiences is what the city delivers.
Yeah.
Therefore, people can actually talk when they are not happy with that delivery.
We're chatting to Zetu Makamandela-Mguqulwa this afternoon on SiyakhulaLive, who is the Ombudsman for the city of Cape Town. Now, Zetu, you started to maybe mention some of those things, roads, water, electricity, through your work and the communities that you engage in. Maybe our listeners are also keen to hear some of the insights that are emerging from your communities as you engage them about how is local governance and accountability being experienced on the ground. What is the sense that communities are feeling about accountability, local governance, and their sense of democracy?
There is no system that is perfect.
Yeah.
So my experience in the few months that I've been in the office is that when people have complaints, sometimes they don't know how to navigate the system, especially when we are not yet known. But once they discover that there is an outlet to go to, they come to us. Part of our responsibility is also to educate people that, look, so that we do not enter too quickly. Do you know that through the city you can do X, Y, Z, right? So if the person tells us that, look, I've done all of that. I've been to all of those offices, but I'm still unhappy. I feel like I'm sent back and forth. Then we come in to say, it cannot happen. It is unfair. Because people, travel distances, and the economy is actually struggling. People don't work. But talking about those things, we also are that office that would make sure that when people come to us, we will also display other opportunities that the city of Cape Town is providing, like work opportunities, etc., where people can go and what forms, to complete. And make sure that not everything is digital, because that's another divide, right?
Yes.
When you make things available only online. So there is that kind of old school, if you wish, but a reality for most, that you still use paper forms for people to actually complete, to find jobs. So we are here for that kind of balance, to actually say, almost like whisper to the city that, remember, you are serving this kind of broad audience. Yes. So make options as wide as possible.
Yes.
So that's been my experience in terms of services. But look, I spend a lot of my time here in Cape Town. One of the things that I myself in this office cannot not tell you about, because I see it as a Cape Townian, is that there still are, our communities that are not getting services as quickly, or the quality of the service is not as great as what you see, in certain parts of the city, like, the affluent areas.
For sure.
So you think about, potholes in Khayelitsha and how long it takes to fix them, versus to a pothole where I stay in Stellenbosch, that perhaps even before you complain about it, somebody else already did.
Sure.
And in a few days' time, it is sorted out. So those are the disparities that we're actually holding a mirror to the city about, to say, look,
do better.
Look, do better.
Yeah.
Do better. This is how you look. This is how you are experienced right now.
Sure.
And it should not be different, actually.
Sure.
It need not be different, because these are all peoples of this city and they deserve the same.
And that is what it's all about, right? We are chatting to the Ombudsman for the city of Cape Town this afternoon on SiyakhulaLive, Zetu Makamandela-Mguqulwa. It's just gone 1:45. We're back with Zethu after this.
The best music and the best presenters. This is MFM 92.6. Move to the music.
It is freshly ground. Fire is low, bringing us to about 10 minutes before 1. You are still tuned in to the Lunch Club right here on MFM 92.6, and we are continuing the conversation right here on SiyakhulaLive. Katlego, over to you.
And we still have Zetu Makamandela-Mguqulwa on the line with us, the Ombudsman for the city of Cape Town. Zetu, welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Now, I think before the song break, we had touched on, some of those disparities and in the face of service delivery. And I think that, some of these may also be what then tends to limit the trust, right? If I'm living in Khayelitsha and this pothole is worsening, right? And there's no kind of accountability, there's no service delivery, and I see just a few steps away from me, or if I'm in Kaimandi or I'm in Khayelitsha, just a few in another area, we see rapid address of service delivery. Does this not also limit then, a citizen's ability to exercise their right to be heard? Does this not paint a picture of, who is the served and the serviced and who is underserviced?
It does. But my advice is that with that experience, there is no reason to sit back. Okay. In a democracy, we don't sit back.
Sure.
Basically, because look, there's no need to. People just wonder about whether their voices are safe. But we all have a voice. So there's no need to sit back. We must hold even our local leadership accountable, because people have, their own councillors that should actually be looking after them. So if they are not doing what they should, then you complain, right? You complain.
I love that. I love that because it's also kind of reinstilling agency back into all of us that,
Exactly.
You are a citizen of this country. We are going into local government election where you're going to exercise your vote and exercise your voice. Your voice does matter. So I hope that is a big takeaway that all our listeners are sitting with, that you do not have to sit back.
Don't sit back.
Yeah, I really appreciate that encouragement. And I think that maybe this is, something like, how the Ombudsman can then rebuild confidence in the public, right? Rebuilding confidence and demonstrating that maybe justice is not, just possible, but it's actually accessible. Do you think that maybe this is also a mechanism to rebuild that confidence in justice as a possibility and something that is accessible?
Precisely. Especially, we live in a beautiful country with a beautiful constitution. We must just exercise it. We must understand it. We must exercise it. So otherwise, offices like mine will be a waste of ratepayers' money if they are not taken advantage of.
Yes.
And even before you get to my office, you have the city of Cape Town itself ready to listen. I must say, because in my experience up to now of holding that mirror, the city fixes whatever it is that they are not proud of. And I hope that they are not listening only to disappoint me, because I need to be able to, to visit and say, actually, I am seeing the progress, I've been hoping to see. I have not been disappointed. We sit, we discuss what's coming through, and people very quickly. Once I say, I'm getting this kind of complaint, the agreement between the city and my office is that they move swiftly and quickly to fix.
Okay. So it's not sitting in someone's drawer somewhere. It's not locked somewhere.
No, there's no file 13 here. No, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Otherwise, what's the point?
Right. And I also want to bring this. I like to bring the agency back to people as well. I think that, the Ombudsman plays a role, but I think each of us as well play a role. And so for on your side, Zethu, what role do ordinary citizens play in strengthening democracy? How can they better use offices like the Ombud to assert their rights?
They must actually not be worried about, there's no judgment with coming to us. Our services are free. And the city is working with, even with the bus service. I'm not sure which day though. I think it's Tuesdays. There is a day where the bus is free for senior citizens to come to town and people who seek work. And most of them, they flock into the city because those services are available. So I do think that people must keep in touch with their local offices to find out what is available, to ask the questions that they need to ask. That's where they will get information about offices like mine if they don't already know. We also get out into communities and we make sure that people, earlier you spoke about dignity. We make sure that we give it back to the people when people feel like it's been tampered with or they are just not happy. However, having said all of that, I do have a request for the people listening that people must try and play along. I mean, they must also play fairly, because remember, as an ombudsman for the city, I make sure, my role is to make sure that the citizens do what they're expected to do as ratepayers. They do the right thing. So the city, needs revenue. So my request is that residents must not tamper with city services, cut corner in a way that's going to free them up from paying for the service. That's problematic. It's dangerous when people touch electricity if they are not trained to touch it. There's tampering with boxes where people for a long time, for years, some of them wouldn't pay for electricity. And because the city systems are sophisticated, at some point you will be caught, and then the picture is ugly. And that is when people come to me saying, I have so many thousands to actually pay, and this is my current circumstance. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Then it becomes problematic. I think my request to people is that find out, because there are several measures, of relief that are available to people who deserve them. So the city is sensitive and take advantage of that too.
And I think it's this dual relationship. I like that.
It is.
It's a dual relation. It is. It's a give and take between your city. And so, in as much as you have the rights to service delivery, to access them, there's also a huge responsibility to take care of them and to also play your part to provide for them. Where can people reach your office, Zethu, just before I let you go?
I will start with my cell number. My cell number is 082.
Oh, you give out your cell number as an Ombud?
Of course. No, I don't have a problem.
082
932
932
8046.
8046.
Because the city pays for it. You see? I mean, of course. So it is a work phone as well.
Okay.
Then the contact number on Cape Town is 400 54 87. And then we have an e-Ombud platform, which is on www.capetown.gov.za.
Okay.
/ e-Ombud.
Okay. E-Ombud. So that is kind of on the digital space.
Yes, on the digital space. And then for email, it's ombudsdirect@capetown.gov.za. Yes. Or you Google, Cape Town Ombuds complaints, then you will see all the ways in which you can reach us.
Okay, and then also walk in if Gonale Gogo Dlamini that can take the bus and wants to to see someone in person about what is happening in her local community.
Walk-ins are most welcome.
Yeah.
Any day from 8 to 5.
Okay.
Monday to Friday.
And this is at the City of Cape Town offices?
The City of Cape Town. The City of Cape Town offices. And Kahleko, it's interesting you say that, because colleagues elsewhere worry about independence. I'm preoccupied with independence myself, but I don't want the Gogo Dlamini to be looking for some street elsewhere in town. So we are here. But of course, slightly outside, we're not... mixed up with the city offices. As you enter the Civic, you can see our office is slightly on the side, but within the premises of the city. So, exactly for that Gogo Dlamini.
So Gogo Dlamini must go to the Civic, the Cape Town precinct, the Civic, and then look for the offices of the Ombud within the vicinity and be directed accordingly. Okay, clearly marked. All right. Thank you so much for that. I think there's lots of ways to get in touch with you, but I appreciate your time this afternoon, and I hope we can keep doing it as well as we keep the awareness and information accessible to our people. So thank you so much for sharing your time with us this afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. That is Zetu Makamandela-Mguqulwa joining us this afternoon on SiyakhulaLive, who's the Ombudsman at the City of Cape Town. Be sure to reach out to your city, know your rights, assert your rights, and play your part as well as part of local governance and strengthening democracy. That's the conversation this afternoon on SiyakhulaLive. Thank you so much for being part of it.
You are listening to MFM 92.6. Move to the music.